So last Friday, I discussed on this, how far can Buddhism agree with modern scientific discoveries? And tonight, what are the main reasons for intellectuals like scholars, scientists, psychologists, historians and philosophers to appreciate Buddhism related to the same subject, Buddhism and science and appreciations? What are the main reasons? Actually, there is only one reason why intellectuals appreciate Buddhism. When you refer to the Buddha, what he has said, then easily you can understand. His saying is this: Paññāvantassāyang dhammo nāyang dhammo duppanyassa. This Dhamma that I revealed can be understood whether they are Buddhist or otherwise. Appreciate the teachings of the Buddha. The Buddha has revealed the truth. So when people analyze unbiasedly, without depending on their former belief or religious concept, people can understand. But not so easy to understand. Our understanding capacity and our knowledge and our way of thinking and our background, these things sometimes hinder or obstruct for us to accept the truth. Traditions, customs, belief, concept that we had earlier never allow for us to understand the truth. We try to justify that our belief and our understanding and our way of thinking are correct. And that is the mistake. The Buddha has given us this advice. If you want to understand the truth, you must be unbiased. Now, if you accept the teachings of the Buddha, thinking that you are Buddhist, therefore you are bound to accept. There is no understanding. Just because you are Buddhist, you accept. The Buddha did not encourage this. That is what he said. Don't depend on your teacher or the founder of your religion to understand the truth. If you depend on them, straight away you accept, but no understanding, no realization in your mind. A simple example, as Buddhist you believe there will be another life hereafter, after our death. But you never take the trouble to understand how this rebirth takes place, but you accept. And you believe that our good and bad karma create good and bad effect within this life or hereafter. But you do not know how karmic forces function and what are the forces. Then we talk about cause and effect. We do not know. Simply we say, this is cause and effect. And how this cause conditions or create the effect. What are the factors? So Buddhism is a subject for us to study. Pariyatti, Patipatti, Pativeda. 3 ways for us to realize. The first step is to study. Our knowledge is important. But that knowledge itself doesn't give us a realization, correct understanding. Now after reading books and listening to the various talks, you may get some sort of knowledge. But that knowledge is very shaky, changeable, because no realization. We can say, I have read all those Buddhist books, I know what they are. But there are no changes in your life to adapt your way of life according to that knowledge. Then the second step is Patipatti. After learning, you must practice. Then you can understand. Good and bad both. The Buddha says, if you do good, you can experience good result. If you do bad things, you experience bad result. So, you can experience this when you practice. Then the last item is Pativeda, realizations. Experience the result. Example, when you reduce your anger, your jealousy, your grudge, or greed, and certain bad habits, you go on reducing. Later, you can experience very good result. How people acknowledge, respect, and trust you. After that, people don't like to disturb you. They regard you as cultured people, nice people, harmless people, honest people. Then they also don't like to disturb you. That is the way how you experience the good effect. On the other hand, you go on disturbing, bluffing and swindling and harming others. If not immediately, later, definitely you had to experience bad effect. Not only that, your own mind. So when you reduce evil forces from your mind, you experience a wonderful happiness, a very big relief, peace in your mind. Then reduce fear, suspicion. Then you do not create jealousy and enmity. You don't create enemies. Then you go on developing until you attain the final goal. These are the 3 methods. First, we have to learn. Without learning, we cannot practice, because the method can be a wrong method. Then practice. After that we experience the result. So, I think you have heard earlier also what the Buddha has said after gaining his enlightenment. When he surveyed, examined the mentality of ordinary people, he knew the difficulty of understanding such sublime, very deep dharma, the doctrine or the truth. Because their minds are completely clouded, deluded, misled. They cannot grasp. They cannot understand. So during the Buddha's time, actually, there were very few Buddhists in India because people could not understand. And they could not give up the former belief they had. This we can understand when you refer to the former Prime Minister of India, Mr. Nehru, what he has mentioned in his book, Discovery of India. He says, actually I cannot understand what sort of courage, knowledge and understanding that the Buddha had to point out all the existing wrong beliefs and practices in India. That is why there were many enemies who could not agree with the Buddha's teaching. But the truth is truth. Now today, we are practicing all sorts of things in the name of Buddhism. We introduce them as Buddhist practices. But when you refer to the Buddha, actually, we are going against the basic teachings of the Buddha. We are doing many things which the Buddha has advised us not to do. But these things are traditional practices. We cannot get rid of it. Then, very few people, those who had some sort of intrinsic intelligence, thinking power to understand things, accepted. And they wanted to follow and practice the teachings of the Buddha. Now for the last 2,500 years, when you study the situation of Buddhism in many parts of the world, we can say, actually we are not practicing even 10% of the Buddha's teaching. 90% of our belief practices are not Buddhistic practices, what the Buddha has introduced. We have incorporated from time to time in different countries according to their traditions, customs, way of thinking, knowledge and understanding. But this is natural. It's happening to every religion. When you study Christianity, what Jesus has taught, and what those Christians are doing today, they are going against his teaching. One single example. when they preach, they say, formerly I was doing some business and it has become a failure. I was a Buddhist or Hindu. After becoming a Christian, now I am prospering. I am very rich now. I see the power of Christianity. Now let us refer to the Bible and Jesus, what he has said. A rich man cannot go to heaven. The parable given, just like a camel going through the eye of a needle. If a rich man can go to heaven. This is the way how they try to introduce religion. And we are also doing the same thing. Then, the main purpose of religion, any religion, is to contribute something which others cannot do. Please remember this. Science or technology or academic knowledge or wealth or worldly powers or political powers or any kind of supernatural power. What religion can contribute has gone far beyond their contribution. Then what is it? To train the man's mind. Do you think there is any other method in this world that can do to adapt, to train the mind? Do you think atomic energy also can train the man's mind? Medical science can change the man's mind. Supernatural power, do you think, can change the man's mind? Religion is the only method. But religion is misused, abused, and gone out of the way. Today, people are not using religion to train the man's mind, but to create more temptation, craving, anxiety in the man's mind. So there are few who can appreciate and understand the teachings of the Buddha. Just now I mentioned Mr. Nehru's name. He has contributed so much as the Prime Minister to promote Buddhism. Whenever he writes, he always discuss about Buddhism, Buddhist culture and Buddhist history. He says, the whole world respect this country, India, because of Buddhism, not because of Hinduism or any other thing. The Buddha has given due credit to our country. Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, when you read his book, My Religion, he says, as Hindus, we are indebted to Buddhism. That means we have borrowed most important philosophical, doctrinal, ethical and moral teachings from Buddhism to enrich our Hindu culture and Hinduism. Who says this? A Hindu. Another philosopher, wisdom of India at the 20th century, Dr. Radhakrishnan. When I was studying in India, Benares Hindu University, he was the Vice Chancellor. After that he became the President of India. He has written 3 volumes on Hindu philosophy. He says, wisdom of India arose in the Buddha's mind. Real wisdom we can see in the Buddha's teaching. He is a Hindu, very orthodox Hindu. Another Indian philosopher, also principal of a university in India, Professor Das Gupta, he also has written 3 volumes of Indian philosophy. He says, very frankly, he has made a very bold statement. He says, Hinduism is nowhere if Buddhism never appeared in India. This you can understand when you study pre-Buddhistic Hindu teaching and after the Buddha, because they have started writing their books so many 100 years after the Buddha. Earlier they never had books. So many of those superstitious beliefs that they had earlier have eradicated, enriched Hinduism by borrowing excellent ideas from Buddhism. So Hinduism has become a very rich philosophy and religion because of Buddhism. Who says? An Indian philosopher, also a Hindu. That is the beauty, because they can see the truth. They never try to hide the facts. Then let us refer to some others. Scientists. I always mention the names of Albert Einstein. He is the best scientist. There were 2-3 occasions where he was mentioned about Buddhism. He had no religion. Scientists have no religion, so they cannot depend on science. If they, the religion, if they depend on religious concept, they cannot use their free mind to understand the truth. Because in religion, there are so many dogmas, traditional and superstitious beliefs. So they have given up all those religions and used their free mind to understand things. But all those things that they have discovered are worldly things. It's only elements and energies, the functions of elements and energies, that's all. Whatever they discover depend on either elements or energies. To us, they are new subjects because we never had such knowledge earlier about the earth, the ocean, the space, the stars and galaxies, and the wind and rain, We have our own imaginations earlier. Scientists have discovered many things, how they function and what are the causes. But religions contributed to maintain superstitious ideas and imagination that they had earlier. This is why the Buddha did not want to talk about all these things, because he knew. So Albert Einstein's place, according to our scientific education in time to come, if religion is needed, I believe only Buddhism can remain, because that scientific knowledge never acknowledges religions. But Buddhism is strong enough to face this challenge, to topple that scientific knowledge and penetrate beyond their scientific knowledge. And that is why he says, according to our scientific knowledge, if religion is needed, that religion must be Buddhism. In his autobiography, he has written this. Another philosopher in Russia many years ago, before communism came into existence, this person has written 3 volumes on Buddhist logic. I read. Actually, I also cannot understand many things there. Logic. His knowledge is so deep. Many things I also cannot understand. So what sort of thinking power, sharp thinking power they had. He also made a beautiful statement. He says, if all are educated here in this world, educated means not academic knowledge, understanding. If all are educated, I believe only one religion can remain in this world. That is Buddhism. A Russian philosopher. His name is Tcherbatsky. Then another Western philosopher, German. His name is Dr. Schopenhauer. He has given few parables, written one book named Buddhism and Science. He says, all the other existing religions in this world are just like small children. Buddhism is just like an adult. Why? Children always depend on others. They cannot understand things properly. They cannot produce things. Always depend on elders for their living. In the same manner, all the other religionists depend on God, depend on supernatural power, because they cannot understand things properly. Buddhism is just like an adult. An adult can understand many things, but not everything. They know how to look after themselves, prepare their own food and everything. So to a certain extent they are independent. So Buddhism teaches us how to be independent without depending on others. And this is the way how they analyze Buddhism. Then Julius Huxley, another Western philosopher, the way how he appreciates the the Buddha's liberal way of teaching. He says, I cannot find in any other religion this kind of freedom that which given to human intelligence, human mind, to think freely without depending on anything. Now this freedom is remarkable. The founder of Pali Text Society in England, Dr. Rhys David, he was a son of a Christian priest. More than 100 years ago, when he was in Sri Lanka during the colonial period, he decided to study Pali language. At that time, there was only one Buddhist monk who has studied English. Only one Buddhist monk. So he studied Pali language under this monk. He mastered the language, and his wife also joined. Both of them have studied, and they found out this is very interesting. After returning to England, they have decided to establish the Pali Text Society to translate Pali Tripitaka into English, first time. In his articles, he says, I have found out 3 things in Buddhism which I could not find out in any other religions. What are those 3? 4 noble truths, 8 noble paths, and the cause and effects. I cannot find in many other religions. I have studied all the other religions. You know the meaning of these 3 items. 4 noble truths, 8 noble paths, the cause and effect. That is why I like this religion. That is why I want to translate this Pali Tripitaka into English. Today, I think almost every book, Sutra, Vinaya and Abhidhamma, are available in the English language. Of course, that language is not very easy for us to understand. At that time, they have used Victorian English. So we must simplify the language to understand. When you read those translations, you feel very boring, very difficult to understand because of the language problem. Then, he has revealed a secret. He said, the main purpose of my studying the Pali language is to find out the weaknesses in Buddhism, because I am a son of a Christian priest. I want to justify Christianity and point out the weaknesses of Buddhism. So I went on studying. In the end, so what happened to me? Without my knowledge, I have become a Buddhist. I never had an idea to become a Buddhist. Convincing, enlightening, opened my mind. Now I can understand the truth. When he was very old, he has written an article. In that article he says, I am getting old. I experienced the difficulty of reading and writing. if there is some sort of power in this world who can extend my lifespan at least for another 10 to 15 years, every minute I spent for this Buddhist work. This is the way how they appreciate. That is what the Buddha says earlier. Paññāvantassāyang dhammo. This Dhamma that I am revealing to you can be understood only by those who can think. But unfortunately, others cannot understand, like small children. Then there were many other scientists and philosophers who made beautiful statements. When you read that book I have written many years ago, Great Personalities on Buddhism, you can see so many quotations there. Historians, I think you have heard this earlier, H.G. Wells. He has given 2 reasons why he likes Buddhism. Regarding the origin of this world, he says, earlier we have learned, according to our traditional religious belief, that this world was created by a God a few thousand years ago. But when you study geology and scientific subjects, we can understand that it has taken millions and millions of years to settle down the formations, to create environments. Buddhism never talks anything about this. Another thing he mentioned. We always talk about a religious man who had performed a lot of miracles. And there was another religious teacher who lived 600 years earlier. He was referring to the Buddha. Never talk anything about miraculous power. But he has revealed the truth. So when we study according to our educations and scientific knowledge, we feel that the religious teacher who lived 600 years earlier to the other teacher who talked a lot about miraculous power, we feel the other one is nearer to us. Now this is the way how they acknowledge the Buddha's teaching. Then Bertrand Russell. I do not know whether you have read his book, Why I Am Not a Christian. The title of the book, still I think available in the markets. He goes on criticizing, accusing, blaming all the existing religions because he is an agnostic. To him, religion is a nuisance, burdens, mislead the public. This is the way how he interprets, having seen what people are doing in the name of religion. He is not wrong. This world, this life and space and stars and galaxies and everything are created by someone at once. The Buddha never uttered such words, because he knew what this world is. Others could not understand what this world is. In that respect, I honor the Buddha. So even agnostics also can acknowledge the Buddha's knowledge. There are so many other rationalists. Rationalist means free thinkers who use their intellect. They are not skeptic. Some people are very intelligent but are skeptics, very stubborn and one-track minded. A skeptic always rejects without using their sense of reasoning. But rationalists appreciate good thing and reject bad thing. Bad thing means things that they cannot appreciate and accept. And this is the nature of rationalists. But they give due credit to the truth and facts. And they always support the Buddha's liberal way of preaching and his Dhamma. Then come to psychologists. Psychologists try to analyze and understand the human mind. Earlier, you cannot find the real analysis or the interpretations of the human mind. In Hinduism also we can find, to a certain extent, this analysis. But the Buddha's interpretations of human mind is entirely different. And today, psychologists agree. After study, even then, there are well-known three psychologists, Sigmund Freud, Carl Jung, and James Williams. Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung, according to their way of understanding and analysis, pointed out there are three forces in our mind, natural forces: libido, self-preservation, and instincts of committing suicide. Natural. That means they have realized something. Now when we refer these three, what is libido? Libido directly refers to the sex life. Sexual instinct, sexual urge is natural. Self-preservation, that means will to live, also natural. We want to live, we don't like to die. Will to live. Last one is instincts of committing suicide. That is also natural. Under certain circumstances, we decide. Sometimes almost every day some people think, why not I die and finish everything? Yes, natural. These three were discovered by the psychologist. Now let us refer to the Buddha, what he has said earlier. For our existence, there are three mental forces. For our existence means we exist here in this world because of this. Otherwise we never exist. But he used very meaningful word. Three. Kama-tanha, bhava-tanha, vibhava-tanha. Now let us analyze. Let us start from bhava-tanha. Craving for existence. We want to live. We are willing to kill even thousands and millions of others for our survival. Craving for existence. We can do any dirty, cruel, wicked things for our survival. Craving for existence. We can justify any bad thing after committing them. What to do? We have to do all those things for our living. Craving for existence. See how deep the Buddha's analysis. Not only that, we have to go further. Craving for existence hereafter. After our death also we want to exist. It is craving. We want to be born in a rich families to enjoy our life after our death. Craving for existence. We like to go to heaven. Some people say eternal, some others say not eternal, but for a long period. Enjoy. Exist there. Craving for existence. It is craving. Can you say it is not craving? See, when we analyze the Buddha word, we can give so many meanings. But those scientists, psychologists have given only this much. For our survival here, that's all. Then the last one is, no, not the last one, second one, Kama-tanha, our craving for pleasure. This world that we live is called Kama-loka, sensual world. Humans, animals, and devas experience this. Sensual pleasure. What is this? Through their five senses or six senses, they want to gain some sort of pleasure, indulge. Eye organ and ears and the mouth and the nose, the body and the mind. 6. So we want to entertain all these 6 senses. Because of this craving for pleasure, we violate all the principles and the precepts and ethics and morals to satisfy, to entertain, to gain some sort of pleasure. Then bluffing, swindling, cheating, robbing, raping, murdering, and war also exist in this world today because of this sensual pleasure. When we go on reducing these pleasures, then all these evil, wicked, immoral, cruel, dangerous things also going on reducing. Because of this craving, husband and wife fight, sometimes kill. And the whole country, the whole world, the whole universe where they want to experience this pleasure, we can introduce as a battlefield, craving for pleasure. Then the last one is vibhavatanda.
Then they say, suicide instinct. Every living being. The Buddha says, vibhavatanda. Craving for non-existence. Suicide instinct means naturally, from time to time, ideas appear in our mind, I think better to die. That is instinctive. When you get fed up with something or with your life, you say here. That is called suicide instinct. Exactly same. It is natural. These three qualities are there in our consciousness. Kama tanha, bhava tanha, vibhava tanha. Three kinds of craving.